Uma Thurman, whose father is Robert Thurman, a Vajrayana Tibetan Buddhist scholar, tantric. This is an advertisement for Union Bank of the Philippines. I wouldn't want to bank there, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter where you bank these days. I'm not trying to be fatalistic, guys. I'm just, people say, well, does that mean I shouldn't eat here, shouldn't eat there? Honestly, anywhere you go out to eat, again, it's not about being. I'm not trying to incite paranoia in people, but just a sober reality that, especially if you're eating fast food, you can basically just make the assumption, sure, that's in the the head office, right? I don't know who this is. Some of you may know. This is, I guess, some basketball player that played for Duke. We're in the U's right now, so that's good. We're getting close. This, again, I don't know who this is. The image just struck me. Just living in such bizarre times. This is another unknown photograph. So we're going to get a lot of unknowns in the U's. Just bear with me. So some of you, heck, if anybody can identify these, toss it in the chat and kind of describe too a little bit about what photograph you're naming. That would be appreciated. I'll be able to see these things later if I look for them. I don't know who this is. I think this was for some kind of advertisement. It could have legit been for an actual optometry test or something. Kind of looks like some stock photo for, but I don't know who this is. It's unknown photograph. Not sure if you guys know who that is. Again, not sure who that is. Or that, although that looks kind of like Nas to me through there, but I'm not sure. But it kind of looks like Nas. She looks very familiar, but I don't have a name associated with her, but she looks very familiar in this archive. So there you go. Copycatting Rihanna. Somebody said, no, that's not Nas. Okay. Well, I'm sure we could find stuff with Nas. No, that's not Salma Hayek. But so that's some kind of supermodel again, Usain Bolt, of course, we do know who that is. Usain Bolt. There's Usain Bolt again, the Olympian. He's got some skull beads around his wrist. They have that in Buddhism too, but again, it stems from around this their idea of impermanence, right? But actually, again, from scriptural perspective, it just again shows like the obsession. He says, "For those who hate me, they're obsessed with death." Just obsessed with it. He just throws them all up. So, you know, it is what it is. Yep, we know. And again, so it's like, think about it. It's like the top 10 musicians. So if you're listening to the radio, it's like chances are you're going to encounter, if you've been through something, some lyrics that kind of reinforce you. Possibly even just like think about it this way too, like a shotgun blast, check in with your handler. Just to keep the lines of communication always going. I know it sounds out there, but the crazy thing is you start to look into this stuff because you're looking for explanations as to why all this stuff's crazy and they're all friggin' a part of a wacky like cult. And that's where it leads. That's where you go with it. Usher, 666. Usher again, throwing up the devil horns for you. Simon and I were sitting here one night in, let's see, did I download that night? If I did, no, I didn't. There's a music video with Usher where he's like trying to put the moves on this woman. And this is back when he was like first making it, so he was young and like really just cocky and arrogant. But it was so bizarre, like to try to impress this girl walking down the street, like he walked up to a tree and started humping it. And we both were just, we watched this several times. Simon finally told me, he's like, man, stop playing this. Like I can't, I hurt from laughing so much, and also it's just like, what is happening? It was so weird. Uzo Aduba. Not sure who this is, but throwing up some one-eyed symbol for you. Uzo Aduba. Uzoaduba. Van Jones. He's a political commentator, you may notice, on the left. And they have them everywhere, guys. They have it in all sectors, And he's part of the PSYOP that makes you feel warm and cozy. And this is clearly a man of reason, and he's clearly, the way he speaks, I can trust him, But yeah, looks like they programmed him like an Apple computer. Potentially. I need to throw those out there each time in these videos because you never know. Possibly. That is my question. And I feel it's a reasonable one. Vanessa Paradis. I'm so glad. See, I learned a lot in this whole series myself. Like I learned that the anytime especially when you see them doing the one-eyed, but like when you see these celebrities who you know to be occultists drawing attention to rose imagery, that it's, number one, a symbol that was associated with Horus or with Harpocrates, which again, it's just kind of funny how like that's what the one eye thing is and the silence thing is too. But also has a long history in the occult of being a symbol of secrecy and confidentiality. And so it makes complete sense. It's basically, I'm a member and I keep the secrets. And you need to too. You need to remember to never tell anyone. Kind of like the masters of the craft, the Masons, tell their initiates. You tell anyone, we're going to F you up. Vanessa Williams on the cover of Essence magazine. I used to like her voice a lot. She actually has a good voice. Sometimes the sun comes out in June. Or something like that. I can't remember the lyrics. I don't know who this is. Some of you may. Vic Fuentes. Fuentes. Maybe some of you know what band he's from. There he is again, Vic Fuentes. He likes to throw out the devil horns. Yeah, a lot of girls did. My sister, she probably still does too, but she had a major crush on Johnny Depp. I remember visiting her apartment. This was 20 something years ago or whatever, but she had on her refrigerator a picture of. She's not that kind of person either. Like, she's not terribly taken with celebrities, but like for some reason with Johnny Depp, like she had him hung up on with a magnet on her refrigerator, which I've just always found the whole thing odd, like the whole celebrity thing. Because honestly, like I see maybe it's a guy thing. Maybe other guys can relate to what I'm about to say here, but I see super attractive women all around, like in society. In fact, a lot of times, like the women that are held up as the most like, oh, Jennifer Aniston is the most amazing, gorgeous, beautiful woman. I'm just like, honestly, she looks like most women you can find at like a mall or going to a club, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, we shouldn't be there at those kind of places, but I'm just saying they're hyped. They're overhyped. They always have been. That's the point. They're literally trying to hook you like a fish with a lure to fall for it. And to think these people are somehow, you know, that's the idea. They're somehow larger than, more important than, you know, when frankly, they ain't no different than you or I, and actually, as we're learning, have a pretty kind of shady other life that they're not really being transparent about with the world at large, the general public. This is Victoria Justice. So, looks like this was for some kind of teen bop magazine. There she is again. There she is again. Just doing a little one-eyed symbol. And there's two things here, guys. I mean, I know, you know, vow of silence and then the leopard print stuff. Again, like dressing up like a cat. You know, I know we're told that these things are just normal parts of our world anymore, but once you see these things, you never undo it. And you know why certain things have been used. It starts to make you really just start to look around and be like, I don't know what's what no more. Here's Vin Diesel hanging out with Ruby Rose. Ruby's throwing up the devil horns. He's throwing up that sideways, you know, so-called peace sign. And who knows what that is on his chest there. If anybody knows what that tattoo means, actually I've seen that. That is an occult symbol, but refresh my memory. And then she's holding a gun. What is going on, man? Like, this is straight up like just taken in as normal these days. We're just hanging out for fashion shoots, like we're all tatted up and throwing up satanic gang signs and holding guns, and we're all just like checked out, like, oh, they do so much for UNICEF. There's Vin Diesel again. Vin Diesel again. There he is again. Hush, 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 little baby, don't you cry. Yikes. You gotta be careful with everything anymore. Like, that could be used as program. For all I know, dude. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to think anymore sometimes about this stuff. But I feel like we're really... For the longest time, I found, when I first started to look into conspiracies and stuff, this was years ago, I encountered the work of Fritz Springmeier, as we all do. Everybody does. And, you hear about how he was arrested and, like, got busted for, like, crystal meth and all this stuff and did some prison time and stuff. But there was something about it, like, you were like, number one, the things that he was claiming it was out there and really, really hard to believe. But there was something really incongruent about, like, the Fritz Springmeier you kept seeing in, like, the stuff he was exposing and, like, bank robbing meth dealer. And it just... And then when you see him having come out, too, and the kind of grace that he has about it as well, it just doesn't add up. It just simply doesn't add up. And the deeper you look into these things, it's like the horror story is being affirmed. And then again, you couple it. That's when different researchers, coupled with scripture though, but different researchers reading like a good combination of some will greatly enhance your understanding of this very topic. And again, I would argue you read some books by Fritz Springmeier. I would say you read The Black Awakening by Russ Dizdar, and then Programmed to Kill and Weird Scenes from the Canyon by Dave McGowan. And you'll never, ever see the world the same again. And then you watch videos like this, or watch the whole series. Honestly, those are your wake-up recipes for other people. I don't hone in on those. Hone in on those those works, and do your best if you want to share it with other people. If you want to try to help them see, really ask God, and really make it your goal and your effort to make it less hard to swallow. Make it easier to understand for people. That's what I'm trying to do in this channel, is to try to show the bigger picture. To take these different kind of divergent works and kind of say, well, here, they're all absolutely right, but you take them and you kind of bring them together as well, and they do nothing but make more and more sense out of the other research. And next thing you know, you're a Christian. This is a guy named Vince Kidd, Kidd. Inverted crosses. He's got the horns around his chest. It's just they're just like walking billboards. Violetta Castillo, Castillo. And again, I'm trying to show you guys too. This goes way back, and it's always been associated with, like, aristocracy and royalty. This is someone, really, we're talking about the generational satanic bloodlines. This is somebody named Virginia Olduini, and she was the Countess of Castiglione. That's Castiglione. And this had to be, let's just go look up how long ago she lived. Guys, she lived between 1837 and 1899. Mind control is not something they just suddenly discovered in the mid-century, in the mid, middle of the 20th century. And it's something too, and the literature actually supports this. Is that actually these apparently are ancient practices that actually do go back to Egypt and Babylon. That they've known the Satanists have known how to do this for a very long time. This is another ID. You just want to say, ma'am, you're about to die. But then you're reminded and you're like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure she can make the choice or not. I don't know what's going on here. It's the funny thing. It's like if what we're looking at is the reality, then ironically, these people who say that actually the devil, you do whatever you want, it's actually like the devil completely robbed you of your free will. This is Waka Flocka. Waka Flocka. Lord, take my back, the devil entered me. Okay. Whale, W-A-L-E. That's the musician's name. Wakar Zaka, W-A-Q-A-R-Z-A-K-A. Warren Beatty, well-known actor. These aren't all the B-list, the B-roll. In fact, we've shown you tons of A-list celebrities. Warren Buffett, with his friend. Of course, it's kind of like, it reminds me of the person that asked the question earlier about, what about Tom Cruise and all the good stuff he does? Again, these people are just, guys, they're like a product on a market. They're a product on a grocery store. The idea is that you need, they're trying to sell you them. And so this brand has this attribute, this brand, they're selling you a story around these people. He's a witch. He's an initiated witch. The man on the right's an initiated witch. I don't know who he is, but in fact, Rusty Nelson, he never clarified. The guy who testified for Paul Bonacci, right? He didn't clarify, and I don't think anybody knows to this day what exactly he was alluding to. But he said, Warren Buffett has some stuff to, there's some stuff that's going to come out about him. It never did. But yeah, no. He's just the far left's economic genius, the go-to man for all the answers for the left. And it's on both sides, though. I mean, both teams have their own Warren Buffetts. You know, we're way past partisan stuff. These people, the Soros, this and the Democrat. I get people that come into my comments that are just like, it's just they'll only call out the Democrats, and I'm just like, I approve them. I actually approve them because there's some truth in what they're saying. But I'm like, how do you not see? Like, it's so obvious that they're all pretending to be on different teams. It's so blatantly obvious. And every 4 years, you fall for it again. There he is again. Here's a Weight Watchers ad. What's the point of this? Why, what does this have to do with losing weight? Going to the eye doctor for losing? I don't understand it. No one does. You can't explain it. Wendy Williams. This is before she had her show and all this. Like, here she is, like, throwing out her tongue, throwing up devil horns. Whoopi Goldberg. Do you see more than one thing here? Does anybody see sun rays at all as well? And on The View, Whoopi is always like gatekeeping for things. In fact, when one of the Jacksons came on to try to say something about what really happened with Michael Jackson's death, like Whoopi was like in real time on air, like facial expressions toward them to shut their mouth. Will Poulter, Poulter. Again, you do not know these people. You have been brainwashed to think you do. And if you think if you've read all these tabloids and you read the autobiography, which is usually ghost written anyway, that you know these people, it's public relations, silly. It's propaganda. It's fiction. It's fiction. Will Smith. Will I am. Will is basically saying, you know what he's saying. Will I am. Will no you're not. Believe that, sir. You know. Will no you are not. William Dafoe. I mean, to be fair, it does look kind of bright there. Looks like a Terry Richardson shoot, potentially. He always likes to do the white backgrounds and just the ridiculous overlighting. That just seems to be his go-to only. Is like white and just like way too much light. There's William Dafoe again. I haven't seen his interviews, but that doesn't surprise me. I was saying this the other day too. We were talking about Harrison Ford too. Have you noticed how like Harrison Ford interviews, especially in these later years, like you watch them and you're always like, is he burned down? Has he smoked pot for too long? What's happening here? Because he's just like, it's like there's nothing really much going on. You know? Somebody said he's creepy now. I don't know. Creepy. He was one. I'll give him this much. And I'm saying this clearly as a straight heterosexual man, but back in the day, around Star Wars time, Harrison Ford was a handsome dude and actually could put together some sentences as well. All these years later, I know people just age and get older, but honestly, he should stop doing interviews because it's weird when he comes out there, and it's like he's asked these questions and he's just spaced out the whole time. Anyway, William Dafoe, William Shatner, you know who that is? Captain Kirk. Willow Smith and Jaden Smith. Do you remember what we've been talking about? You remember, I'm going to say it again. According to Fritz Springmeier, Church of Scientology, the Process Church are both fronts for the Illuminati engaged in total mind control. And here you two see the young son and daughter of Scientologists, just like we saw with Isabella Cruz earlier, who are throwing up the signs and the symbols of exactly what we're talking about here. There's Willow again. Willow Smith. I guess she just likes anthrax. Or is that the name of the... Looks like she's got an anthrax shirt on. No. Yeah, see? That's Willow Smith again. What they've been doing... Like, I would love to be... Look, we all have to work out our judgment. We got to work out our salvation, right? But when it came time to judge those who perpetrated this upon the world, I would love to, I hope in heaven, like, we get to sort of watch over it, like to witness that. That'd be fun. At the same time, though, I'm going to leave, rather than say, I think this should happen and I need to, like, that'd be a great thing. Like, I'm just going to leave that one up to God. Clearly. But, because this stuff has been going on and in secret for so long, and you're just like, man, I wish everybody knew. I just wish it was just straight up common knowledge, because nobody would pay attention to these jokers ever again. Look into the chat room just for a little moment. Oh, we got some pranksters in the room as well. Some meddlers. Again, let me just remind you guys, this always occurs. For some reason, people with a perfectly functioning life, who don't believe in God, they think all this is stupid. For whatever reason, they'll hang out for hours and hours and hours to just cause trouble and meddle. It's the question starts to become like, do you have a life? Or is this usually how you spend it? Because I don't, that's certainly not an activity I ever engage in. Like, I hang out watching videos of channels I am not a fan of for hours on end. Like, just every once in a while throwing out passive-aggressive comments all throughout. That's a little suspect. You need to up your game, devil. Just saying, you know. You're not very slick there. Willow Smith again, you know. Got to up your game, Hive Mind. I mean, come on, man. How old is she even here? But throwing up the one eye right here. There you go again. There you go. I mean, how is that not? Let me depersonalize it. When I see the tongue like that, I associate it with demonic activity. It looks, when I see that, it looks demonic to me, and it looks intentionally sexual and suggestive, but ultimately demonic. Winona Ryder, she helped as well. A little bit less of a pronounced voice, but she helped get the West Memphis 3 out as well. And mind you, her godfather was Timothy Leary. This was a band back in the day, Witchcraft Coven, destroys minds and reaps souls. Wait a second, but it's just about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? That sign and symbol that they're holding. Durrani Del Rio says that, too. Is that a fake skull? That don't look like a fake skull. I don't think they were making fake skulls back then that looked that good. Wiz Khalifa. There's Wiz Khalifa again. There he is again. Wizard of Oz, who's behind the curtain? Well, that's about what we see right now. But it's becoming a little clearer. WizKid and Jude Okoye. I don't know who they are. I think they might be South African artists. This is some Instagram famous girl. But as you will see, her name is Wylona Hayashi. So WYLONA HAYASHI. We're going to see her again here a little bit. But you'll see that every time she's throwing up the symbols, there's satanic imagery to accompany it as well. So it's not a mystery. None of this is a mystery to anyone about what's happening here. So here she is with some Baphomet clothing on as she poses for the one-eye doctor test. There she is again. Clearly like a weird photoshopped eyeball thing that she does each time. Here's XXX Tentacion and XXX. I'm not into numerology and all that, but like it does, if you look into it, equals 666. Which is interesting about pornography as well. Guys, your whole world has always been infused with symbols. God has made it. I actually do believe. Somebody dismissed that the other day. Fritz was talking about, and he's not the only one that talks about it, but talking about how it seems to be that maybe the way God kind of arranges this is that evil actually has to announce itself. They don't just get a free pass to do what they want. And so that would make sense, because you're going to need to allow for those of us who start recognizing it during these latter days, we're going to need to be able to identify it, and I think that's why it sort of is so obvious and in your face once you start looking at it. It's just to the point where it's undeniable at that point. Like, there's too many coincidences. There's too many weird anagram nickname connections, like with the Santa Claus that we were talking about earlier, where Old Nick means Satan, where Santa is an anagram for Satan, to Monster energy drinks having a 666 in the Hebrew as their logo, to CERN throwing up their 666 in it. Like, God's actually making it really easy for us who wake up to recognize and see it. So XXXTentacion, he died an untimely death, rapped about meeting a Baphomet in Miami, and clearly was into some dark stuff. Like, here, would anybody like to help us identify what that is? On his hand, I see a pyramid in a circle. It's probably some kind of conjuring circle. I'm not sure. I mean, he's certainly showing the signs and symptoms. He's got an Ankh tattooed on his chest. But if anybody knows what that is, I'm looking here. Not sure what that is, man. I bet you could find a Thelemite librarian who would be able to help you. So here's XXXTentacion. And by the way, I mean, he's hanging out with, I don't know what. These gentlemen look like zombies. He looks like a zombie, like a gaunt zombie over here. This is during the phase where he did the weird forehead tattoo and then shaved his eyebrows as well. And it's just so weird, man. Whatever's going on these days, it's just so bizarre. And the only way you can make any sense out of it is, here, I will note again, if you guys have watched this series, maybe sometime next week somebody will have caught up with all of them. Rare is the viewer who's watched all of these in succession already. But he's got an anchor necklace on, Again, we've seen that symbol associated with these folks constantly. There he is. And we also noticed that, like, it seems like their entire body, every little object that they seem to use, is with specific intent. It's explicit, and it's occult usually. They just, that is it. They hide in plain sight. That has to be it. It comes down to, they just love to just, you stupid, you dummy. I get to throw it in your face all the time, and you don't even know what I'm doing. Because it's so esoteric to the uninitiated, as they would say. Okay, we got it, bud. Thank you. Like, this is their contributions to society. Ends ask for peace and riot to bring violence. because it's a game of cat and mouse and you gon' bleed silent. Well, thank you for that edification. Team what? XXX Tentacion? Because your name just rolls right off the tongue, let me tell you. Team Satan. Interesting. Interesting choices of wardrobes these people have, man. It's insane. Oh, but it's just a joke. What you mean? I'm just a devil worshiper, fool. Yang Yo Siob. Whatever. It's just like, come on, guys. You gotta come up with something new. She looks slightly checked out. I'm tapping out here after, like, I can't wait till we get to Z. Yaya Ding. And please note as well, like, that appears to be kitten slippers. Cat slippers. It's going to point that out. And you got the tongue and the covering of the one eye. If you're fast asleep, you're going to... But you know what? You can only stay in denial for so long. There she goes. She's got the matching, for this show photo shoot, the matching leopard print PJs as well. And of course, she's covering her eyeball. Yoshiki. Yoshiki. I don't know who this is. Yoshiki. There is Yoshiki again. I'm pretty confident it's a man, but it is definitely a man who, and he probably identifies as such. He hasn't gone that far over, but he's definitely there to push the boundary. So that we say, what? This is Jared Leto when he was little. Young Jared Leto. That's why it's here in Y. Young Thug. There you go. Young Thug again. He dresses up. Don't they have him dressing up in dresses? And lotus flower is also considered a sign of secrecy, confidentiality, and he's got, it looks like a lotus flower tattooed on his shoulder there. That's Young Thug. I'd just like to thank you, Young Thug, for your tremendous contribution to society, for your contributions in music, and for all the good things you've done, as the other person in the chat asked about Tom Cruise, for all the good you've done. I'd like to thank you for that. Got some 5-pointed stars all on his. Got one right here. Got one right here. But there's all kinds of others. See, I don't want to go too deep with it, but like I do kind of want to. I want to know what they all mean. You know, so we can just really expose them and just be like, all this garbage is satanic. This is Yul Brynner. I thought it was Foucault at first, but it's not. It's Yul Brynner. This is somebody named Vez Mathau. Yves Mathieu. And I will just remind you guys, remember we were talking about the keys? So bizarre. And he's got a ring with an owl on it as well. We just must be imagining things. He has a... What is that? I see a pyramid, but looks like a face underneath it too, which then starts to make me think about Crowley. Who is this guy? I don't even know who he is, but Zac Efron, of course. So Zac Efron. There he is again. Zaho, Zaho. Oh yeah, we were just kind of hope you came over and said, check out the new Doritos commercial exposed on my channel. Yeah, people should go over there and check that out, because just earlier we were just kind of covering that, like the Doritos thing. And that might help kind of affirm for people, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, that whole, the choice of pyramid for the Doritos is, that wasn't something they didn't think about, with a limited amount of shapes that you could create your item with, your product. This is Zara Larsson, and then the man, it says MNEK. Mnek. I don't even know where they come up with this stuff. Like there's nothing original about that. Like it's actually like a random assembly of letters that mean absolutely nothing. Perhaps an acronym for something, but if I can't say your name, like rolling off the tongue. Here she is again. This is the same girl, Zara Larsson. Again, it's like John Todd said. I mean, how else do you explain it? He's like, they do these rituals, and the child just becomes like a human chalice, and the demons just enter. It's got to be it. It has to be it. And meanwhile, so-called truther Mark Dice, in his wisdom, writes about how John Todd was the stupid shill that everybody keeps quoting still. And then Mark Dice is walking around interviewing people about how he should be able to say the N-word, talking to black people too, saying this. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Ah, I see. Again, it goes back to my thoughts on QAnon and all that too. It's, there's been a lot of measures put in place to, when the truth does come out, to associate it with things which look fringe, racist, stupid, so that nobody buys it. Maxie, that's right. He sure was truth. Like, I really, truly believe that anymore. There's Zara Larsson again. Attractive young woman, unfortunately. Sold out to the devil. There she is again. She's not doing a straight up gang sign here, but it's, kind of. This is just sort of the all around sentiment. How did we get here? This would have been absolutely unacceptable from a star at all for public consumption in our country. But they've successfully lowered the bar every single few years, every decade you can measure it. There's a new musical psyop for each decade. Take note of that. Too, but thank you, Zara, for flicking us all off. For what? because you hate your life or something? I mean, what are you doing? Do you have no sense of decency? You know? There she is again. There she is again. You know? One-eyed symbolism. And, you know, we just think that's just Nike, but we went over Nike earlier too. Nike was a Greek goddess. The remaining statue that we have of her actually looks like the Nike symbol. Welcome to your pagan world. Zayn Malik is his name. Again, we see these on their knuckles so often. It's some kind of witchcraft runes that they're putting up. And then he's got a lotus flower on his hand. I mean, once you learn the language that they're speaking to one another, it's not so hard. We just need to decode the language, guys. That's it. Just keep cracking the codes and start exposing this garbage. That's how you fight back. You don't, as people come in the comments and say, like, you're grabbing pitchforks, we got to go beat the crap out of these people. No, you don't do that. That's not going to accomplish a thing. You know? Other than just completely thwart what you're trying to accomplish, you know, and make it all the harder for truth to get out. This is somebody named Zazie Beats. Z-A-Z-I Beats. I don't even know what's happening here. I guess that's just makeup with a different color eye. She's white on that side. I don't know what's happening. It's always some kind of... Why, Xena, you look so joyous. Again, this is Zelda Williams. This is the daughter of Robin Williams, the comedian. Interesting that she has on that little Mickey Mouse Disney shirt. But I asked this question when we were on Robin Williams for you, because I showed this to you then. Doesn't she look checked out? Does she look... That's the question. That was a leading question. Does she look dissociated to you? Because to me, if I'm keeping it real with you, she does. She looks like she's in a trance or a daze. Please just stop with that, everybody. It gets... I'm so tired. It comes in here constantly. This person's a dude. That one's a... They're all dudes. They're all... Please go away. Zelos. They won't go away. This is a constant part of their trying to undercut your work. Inverted triangle, pyramid, with the all-seeing eye and then the covering of the eye as well. All right. Denise, I don't know where you get that from. You know, that looks like a woman if I've ever seen a woman. Zendaya. This is Zendaya throwing up the 666. No, I don't need to chill. You know, you can... My channel, my show, you know? That's my reaction to you. You know? So that's Zendaya. That's Zendaya again. And again, roses, diamonds. again, that's another one if you guys could help me with. I've seen that covered a bit in the community before. But wow, she's got a lot of roses tattooed on her. And she's got the flower of life. Wow, guys, I almost got the flower of life tattooed on me once. So she's got the flower of life, straight up occult imagery that goes all the way back to Egypt. She's got the roses, you know. What does that say? DMND. Covering her eye with a rose. There it is again. If anybody makes it through this entire series, I'd really like to sit down and talk to them and see how they're still in denial. Because it seems to me that after all this, you would have some questions and not be so sure that this is just some imaginings of a madman. That's when I kind of know that you're not open to truth, right? There's Zendaya again. This is somebody named Zhao Wei. You starting to realize you were like, we're in Z. We're going to be done with real soon here. Like, we still keep going and going. And again, this is one man's research, and I don't have it all. I don't have anything close to all of it, or a sampling of them all. Zilla Kami. Nice teeth, dude. I wonder if you've ever bitten anybody with that. There he is again. Dude, it's got to be demonic stuff. It's just... I hung out with some guys like this when I was in my early 20s, too. Late teens, early 20s. They were so annoying. I was annoying, too, I'm sure. It was just like nothing was ever taken seriously. You know, you could never just... And looking back on those fellas, I've, keeping it real, that's what was up. You kind of want to just say to this guy, too, like, the grill that you're wearing, like, it's just, I know it's, like, hip and in, and, like, you're trying to be all edgy and stuff, but, like, it's making you look learning disabled. And that's not a knock. It's just, it's making you look like you're on, and again, I'm not trying to be a knock. You just like, you look like you belong on the special bus. There he is again. My goodness. What is... Goodness.
So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood? Maybe the environment is a little sick.
Say that again, Dave. This is somebody named Zoe Saldana. I'm trying to get through this. Okay. Zwykely Zyke. ZWYKLE ZYCIE. Food artist Tom Wolf. I believe we're back at the front. Yes, we are, and that means that we're done. Good. Another 3-hour long stream. It is possible that tomorrow I will that I might come on and do one on, just to be thorough with all this, on the beta sex kitten stuff, and maybe Alice in Wonderland too, because I got some pretty good, like some pretty large archives of that as well. To just put it all out there, man. We need to quit beating around the bush, you know? Just put it all out there and make it so that actually the onus is on them to look like the fool for not acknowledging it. You know? Because the last thing I'm going to do is let you come at me acting like I'm some kind of whack job. You know? You know, I'm going to make you look like the dummy. And when I say you, I mean, and it's not personal, and it's not about that, but I'm going to make you, like the system, the network, look like a dummy in all of your attempts at trying to question it. You know? This stuff, I mean, it's got to stop.
Oh Lord, your ways are perfect, bright and pure, and always worth it. I'm holding to my pin light in the dark. The winter months have their reasons, the blooms of spring have their seasons. Now I can hear your heartbeat through them all. Yeah. So thank you for the lonely hours that taught me how to rest. I thank you for the miles I've climbed, the strength in my feet to dance. I thank you for
You're welcome, everybody.
valley's trials when you hold me through the night.
I just hope you guys find it useful.
I'll stand, look back and smile, 'cause now I can see for miles.
Because I had, like, all my old friends, they all turned their back on me. You know? Nobody wants to look at this stuff. People have just been trained.
Oh Lord, your ways are perfect, bright and pure, and always worth it. I'm holding to my pin light in the dark.
So I tried to make a series, you know, and I invite you guys to help me still.
My cold heart's beating.
To just be like, well, you know, show it to your loved one. Let them start watching like a half hour of like a 5-hour one.
Sunrise in the dark.
And just to help get in the point. And then you might tell them too and be like, yeah, there's like 30 hours more.
Thank you for
Just so you know.
lonely hours that taught me how to rest. I thank you for
So the next time you want to come at me and say, there's nothing there.
my feet today.
Well, if you don't take the time to watch it, like, you're not qualified to answer that.
The valley's trials
You're speaking out of ignorance and assumption.
through the night. With you I'll stand, look back and smile, 'cause now I can see for miles.
This is probably a video that's not going to get a lot of views if you share it on Facebook, but you might want to do that. It's probably one more where you bring that loved one in who hasn't seen, you know,
I can see
who's not going to ever click on that video you post to your wall that looks weird. But be like, hey mom, hey dad, Or, hey brother, you got like an hour to hang out with me, you know? And see if after that hour they want to keep watching. See if they have ADD, or they got the Satan's ADD if they're not even interested.
Can this view sustain me? Let me remember. Let me remember.
This guy's got
Winter
awesome music.
you turn to spring. Let me remember. Let me remember.
All right, y'all. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Lean on God. Allow Him to show up with the strength that you don't have, that you're not even capable of having. You can't take on Satan's army and the demons by yourself. You're just not. It ain't happening. Okay? You don't have the capability alone. Keep yourself in check at all times too. Meaning, don't let yourself think you're... Honestly, you know, He knows how many hairs are on your head. He loves you so, and He created you. But you don't want to be puffed up. You don't want to be prideful. And the moment you start seeing that emerge in your life, shoot it down. Dismiss it. And learn as much as you can about this. I encourage everybody to download your own archives. I showed you in the last video, for people who are interested, right at the beginning, the method I used basically to find all this stuff. And sure, it's a little bit time consuming, but it's worth it. There's been no time wasted. You know, that guy came on earlier tonight and was talking about my lack of a job, but like, could I be doing anything more meaningful? That's the irony. Even I'm looking at it, it's like, dude, I would do this, and I do this for free, and that's not me saying like, oh, it's just the reality. But this is way more important than any kind of job you could be doing right now. You know? From my perspective, that's the way I view it. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Do I sometimes wish that my situation and my opportunities are? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, I feel like this is exactly, that's why I think that was a spirit from like another spirit. Is because I actually think that God, in some funny ways, created the circumstances I find myself in today to give me all this time to do what I actually do best. And my time is wasted making a burger for someone, or for right now in my life. I'm not above that. I'm just saying. And that this is something far more, this is what I was actually, any automaton can do that. This is what I was made to do. So, God bless you guys. Be sure to hit your knees and pray tonight. God, please bless everybody in the room tonight. Please bring anybody who hasn't repented for any sins that they may have committed lately to repentance. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. God, we'd also like to ask you to open up the eyes of unbelievers, soften their hearts to the gospel of you, God. Help us to minister to them. I know you do anyway. Send us out. Give us our orders. Help everybody discover what their part is in this. What are you to do? How are you supposed to take it? Stay strong. Stay blessed. Stay close to Jesus Christ. He loves you.